Sure. I'll talk it out.
Yeah, let's just have a conversation.
Track 3.
Better not be fucking Dave Matthews Band.
Okay. Those of you who don't want to be a part of this can leave now.
Derek, please listen to me.
But if you choose to stay, which it seems like you guys are choosing,
Derek, please.
you understand and agree to the following terms and conditions.
Derek!
1.
Derek, this is the virus
You
talking.
hereby waive your right
Derek, please.
to your own personal bodily integrity.
This is not you.
2.
I'm a license.
Per the State versus Neville Reed, my colleague and I will not be held criminally liable for any felony or misdemeanor that you may be a victim of, including, but not limited to, aggravated assault, aggravated battery, disorderly conduct, destruction of property, mayhem, and first-degree murder. And 3, terms and conditions may change or be updated whenever the fuck I want! Consider yourselves notified.
What up, everyone? DJ Anubis here with you on Mediterranean Podcast, getting ready to do a discussion about the year of the Kaiju Godzilla with my special guests, Daniel, Sci-Fi Century. I also got Matt, Gojiro851, Jake Hall, the big bad wolf himself, and Jedi Granville, Walter Ross. Thank you all for joining me this evening for round 2 of this, because it didn't go well at the live. So for those who'll be watching us eventually, we did try to go live with this, but had some technical difficulties.
So now this
Nevertheless,
nevertheless,
here we are, and we are going to talk about 3 different segments of the Godzilla verse, namely Godzilla and Kong 2, Godzilla -1, and of course Monarch Legacy of Monsters series now on Apple TV. So, I did want to ask this, which I didn't get to before. So I'm just going to go around the room real quick and ask you all, like, where you are right now in terms of your mindset with the MonsterVerse and Godzilla in general. So this includes Shin Godzilla, not anything more recent, just 2014 to Shin. Daniel, where are you right now? How do you feel about what's been out there with the MonsterVerse and such?
So far, as you guys already know, I really enjoy the MonsterVerse. Very fun. Loved 2014 King of the Monsters, Godzilla vs. Kong, and and I've already, like I said, I've already seen at least 3 episodes of of Monarch Legacy of Monsters. So I'm really feeling it. It's where all of us are. A lot of us are off the cusp of -1. So right now, Legacy of Monsters and Godzilla X Kong or whatever. I'm just excited for it. I mean, if you're true a Godzilla fan, you'll watch it. If you, regardless of all the bullshit all these other haters and shit talkers are saying, it's still like, you know, I'm feeling it, man. I'm sold with it. So I mean, I'll watch it anyway. So
Goji.
2014, I needed to warm up to. When I first watched it, I wasn't feeling it. I just didn't like it the first time I watched it. Then I watched it a second time, and I liked it a lot more than the first time. Kong Skull Island, loved it. King of the Monsters, loved it. Used to be my favorite Godzilla film. Godzilla vs. Kong, loved it. And then Shin Godzilla came out, and that was another one I needed to warm up to, because at first I didn't really get it, because the way how the subtitles were set up, I felt like I missed half the movie. But the second time I watched it, I knew what to expect, and then, you know, I got more out of it. Then we got Godzilla -1, and I said before my line, I just watched it for the second time before joining your video, and not only is it my favorite Godzilla film now, it is my favorite film to watch now of all time I've seen. I used to really like the film. I love the film, The Last Samurai, as my favorite film. This is now Godzilla minus one is now my favorite. Absolutely perfection from top to bottom. As far as Monarch is concerned, I look forward to it. I haven't watched it yet. From what I've seen, it looks absolutely amazing, and I really want to watch it. I'm gonna wait till the last episode, and then I'm gonna get Apple Plus, and then I'm going to stream all the episodes pretty much in a day, pretty much. So
Yeah. Jake.
Pretty much enjoyed all the MonsterVerse films. I've enjoyed Shin Godzilla because it was a unique and different outtake of how they did Godzilla. But hands down, minus one. I'm kind of with Goji. I mean, it's probably either tied or just that much an edge over the original Godzilla. So that's where
I think it's safe to say that minus one is like a game changer for sure.
Oh yeah, and I enjoy the Legacy of Monsters series so far. The last episode was very intriguing. It's the best way I can say it.
Yeah. Big Bad Wolf.
So, with all the MonsterVerse films, I like 2014, despite people complaining about there not being enough Godzilla screen time. Because when I left the theater, I was fairly excited by how the movie ended. Godzilla King of the Monsters came out, and I was filled with so many emotions. Like, I came close to crying in that film, because it was like just watching your childhood on the big screen finally. Something I always hoped would happen in my life. And then Godzilla vs. Kong came out, same thing. Riddled with a lot of emotions, just being able to see that again. And to see them try to do a callback to Godzilla vs. Mechagodzilla. Instead of King Caesar, it was King Kong.
Mm-hmm.
And so it was fun just to see that happen all over again with their own twist. Shin Godzilla, I'm not too big of a fan of. I found the story lacking. Godzilla would be a bit more boring to watch, but his atomic breath scene was the most epic breath reveal of any Godzilla film to date. So that was definitely epic about how he decimated all of Tokyo just effortlessly. And then we go to minus one. Minus one, I will say, a modern era, best Godzilla film for the modern era. But it is my number 2 favorite film of all time, my number 2 Godzilla film of all time. To me, 1954 will always be number 1 in both categories.
Jedi.
Well, I feel the MonsterVerse really has twisted the Marvel tit for now, because before Marvel was the thing that was on top of things, but now it seems like the MonsterVerse is totally taking the reins of this. You know, I know the 2014 was definitely bittersweet because it opened up that door of saying that, hey, Hollywood can do a good, decent Godzilla film despite the 98 version. And then, like I say, the King of the Monsters definitely was kick-ass. You know, I will say that Shin Godzilla was, I mean, not a lot of people may not dig on it, but I personally still like it. Yeah, like some people, ladies included. And the simple fact is that even though it's still up top, I have to say minus one when it came into play. I was thinking like, okay, this is going to be some generic, reboot, retelling, which it is. But I would never have imagined that this film is up there at a caliber maximum, fire wheel kind of movie that lets me know that, okay, cinema still can be artful. It can play art. It ain't just got to be some franchise bullshit. It can actually say, hey, we're doing something, we're telling something, and ignore the whole genre thing. It's art. It's entertaining. You should enjoy it, not for what's in there, but what it's about. Don't look at the hype. Look at the structure of what makes it that. I feel like, and kind of add with the along with the Big Bad Wolf said, even though it is higher than Shin now, feeling the battle with Godzilla versus Megalon. I'm sorry to say. I mean, it's just Godzilla versus Megalon is still going to be my childhood favorite. But in the end, though, -1. And I would just put this out there real quick because I know some people are going to just say, yeah, maybe not. I feel that if this film gets nominated, not for foreign, but for Best Picture, I'm telling you, it's going to it's going to change everything forever. It will. I mean, because I've seen other films strange like this happen before. If this one does, hey, change the industry forever.
And that's the good thing about -1 is that, we talked about off air that, aside from Godzilla being in it, it's a strong story and it's a very good story. It's well written, well produced, well executed. Uh, for me, obviously 2014, I remember watching the trailer. I just came across it by accident, really. And I remember just that ending of the trailer where he's roaring in the dust, and I'm like, "Oh my god, they got it right! They got it right! It's not fucking Zilla. They got it right." Of course, now when I went, before some of the other trailers came out, I thought it was going to be much like -1. I thought Godzilla was going to be the villain. So when finally it comes to fruition that Godzilla is more of like the anti-hero, I was like, well, I like this better because I grew up on Godzilla being the good guy. So obviously, as King of the Monsters came out, I've talked about it at length when we did our rankings of all the Godzilla films a while back. King of the Monsters brought to life all these monsters that I grew up with: Ghidorah, Rodan, Mothra, and they made it look so flawless in their fluidity and how they move. That's what you want to see. Now, I can appreciate everything of the old, the suitmation and everything else. I still love it, but watching what you can do with CGI when you do it right. Now, obviously, we talk about the darkness and some of the other stuff that probably could have been better about that film. But just watching Ghidorah with all the mannerisms and Rodan acting like a bird or Mothra like an insect, like it's perfect. Godzilla and Kong, I've talked about it. Like they finally got it right. There's no way that fucking monkey's gonna be Godzilla. Not happening. Just doesn't happen. So, but I liked the twist. I liked how they utilized, because they did mention they were both alpha protectors, Earth protectors, and that the creation of Mechagodzilla in a unique way, which was very cool too, because one thing they never explored about, like, 174 is like generally my favorite, one of my favorite Godzillas, like Mechagodzilla and Godzilla. So one thing they didn't explore was how Mechagodzilla doesn't get tired. He's just a machine. So in Godzilla and Kong, he doesn't get tired. He's just juiced up and he's fucking whipping Godzilla's ass. And you kind of expect that. So that was a nice little plot device added in Kong as being someone that had to help him defeat this machine. So obviously Shin Godzilla, I'm kind of with Matt and a lot of you. Like, I struggled and struggled. I've watched this thing about 5 times. Shin is still very low on my list, but I have grown to appreciate that they were trying to be innovative. I didn't care for the morphine part of it. Like, you could just brought Godzilla as is, and I would have been fine. But the rays that he's used, the spikes and the tail, that was unique and very cool, very colorful. But as a movie, I struggle with it, and they tried. Like, it has like a solid plot, the acting's fine, but again, it's not as interesting, or you don't really find any emotion with that as you do with -1. So that's part of the problem with Shin Godzilla for me. We're going to get more into -1. I will say this: generally, when it comes to my top 5 Godzilla films of all time, or even top 10, it's usually not a villain Godzilla in there. 54 is probably at 10, which is like a generous offer, but not until -1 has I ever had a Godzilla film with the Godzilla being the villain in my top 5. And at number 5, that's where -1 comes. The only reason why it's probably not top dog is because, again, I grew up with some of these other films like 74, G2000, Final Wars, and of course, King of the Monsters, strictly because of that fluidity and the bringing of life to those monsters is always going to be my favorite. It is. Like, I don't give a fuck how bad the actors are, the characters. The monsters is what I cared about. But -1, I'm going to be doing a top 10 best of 2023 at some point in a couple weeks. Guess who's going to be number one? It's a no-brainer. It will be
-1.
-1. Yes.
Mhm.
There's nobody, no movie that can compare it, beat it. Nothing.
I'm with
So,
you there.
so
Definitely my number
with all that
one.
said, we have Godzilla X Kong 2 coming out. We knew it was coming out when they announced it. For a long time, a lot of people were debating what should be the villain, or because a lot of people were hoping Destroyer would be in there. We talked about Biolante; that would have been a sweet fucking villain to deal with, especially with Middle Earth or whatever the fuck they call it now. Uh, but
Biolante at Middle Earth. Oh no.
yeah. So, but obviously now we have another monkey, and it's almost got like a Planet of the Apes feel, I guess, in some ways. I'm not gonna worry about playing the trailer again. We already watched it, so we already know what's involved with here. So again, I'm just gonna go around the room. Walter, I'll start with you first. What are your first impressions by watching that trailer? How do you feel about the movie?
Oh man, I can tell this is going to be epic. Not to say that the other films, the first films were epic, but this one looks like it's going to touch on a lot more than I thought. And I will say this: it's going to be something funny. When they showed the pyramids of Giza, I was thinking like, okay, they're stepping into Transformer territory here because they've done that hardcore. And I'm just like, okay, why are we here? And then when I see something coming out of the sand, I'm thinking, okay, that's Godzilla, pretty much. When you see that glow and everything, then you see Kong hand coming up, and it's like he's got the gauntlet, Infinity Gauntlet there. I was like, oh, what's going on here? This is something different. So to me, this is a change of pace from what we last saw them in Godzilla versus Kong. So, however,
Is that supposed to be like a nod to Mecha Kong at all, or what?
what's
What
that
do you
thing?
feel about that? The hand, because like it looks like
Well,
it's
That's
machine
what I
made.
was thinking too. I mean, could it? Well, you know what? And this is what I was thinking too. Could that be an ancient glove or whatever from the past? It could be an updated thing
Thanos.
that was made. But that's just my theory now. But that, and this is one of the reasons why I didn't want to watch it, because I didn't want to get myself for the film itself. But I say, well, let me go ahead and watch it. And when I see that gauntlet, I'm seeing that glove, whatever you want to call it. I'm just kind of like something, whatever this is. It's got to have a very pivotal point to the story, because you see Godzilla and Kong running like Apollo Creed and Rocky Balboa right out.
Yeah.
I've
There's
seen
someone
memes
who
for
did
this.
something.
I'm like, what the hell is this? But this lets me know it's like, oh shit, they're getting the battle mode. Here come Batman and Robin. They're doing that run. So I don't know what's gonna go on, but
Rising up, back
all
on
of
the
this,
street. Did my time, took my chances.
Here comes Godzilla and Kong
dude,
Godzilla and
whatever
Kong
is gonna
sliding
go
down the
down, it's
map
gonna go
hole.
down hard in this film. So, yeah, that's my pick.
Here comes Godzilla and Kong
Big
sliding
Bad
down the
Wolf.
map hole. I will say this. So coming off of Godzilla -1, watching that trailer, I was just like, what the hell? Because I forgot about how far into the show territory that the MonsterVerse went, that as
Yeah.
soon as I saw the trailer, I was like, what the flying hell are they doing? Then after a while,
Yeah,
I
I
just
think that's the
realized.
only problem for me. Like I'll watch this film, obviously, and I'm sure you guys probably feel the same way. It's like once you've seen -1, dude, everything else fails in comparison. So like it's kind of bad, because I'm probably gonna go into the theater watching this film, and I'm gonna be like, it's just gonna be in the back of my head -1. I'm just gonna like,
I think the
really?
best way I can go about it is watch Godzilla vs. Kong right before I go to watch it. That way you get to refresh, like, okay, this makes sense when this
Yeah, you have to
territory.
get into that mindset. Yeah.
Yeah, so continuing on, so funny thing you should mention the robotic hand. When Rob first saw the trailer, he thought it was Bumblebee. He's like, Transformers, what the heck is going on here?
Yes.
But then, so we get on, and as soon as I saw the little baby Kong, I was like, oh, good Lord, please no. Why? But then we go far through it, because I'm not a big fan of kitty monsters. I feel like Kong's humanized as he needs to be with Gia.
Mhm.
And Godzilla, his character wasn't meant to be humanized, just feared and respected and stay out of his way. So as we go far into the trailer, finally we see Godzilla. So I will say this. I think the design is going to grow on me eventually. It's just at the moment, they made him so slim that he looks like the lizard from Insomniac Spider-Man 2. I did like the nod of the spikes, and I feel like fans complaining about the pink. I think the pink will also grow on me eventually. It's just right now, I think the issue is it's such a bright pink that it's hard to get past that.
Well, I think you shared a meme the other day. It had Barbie. I started laughing hard at that.
I thought everybody would get a good kick out of that.
Okay.
Oppenheimer, Barbie Heimer Godzilla edition.
Wow.
But yeah, so as soon as the ending to the trailer came, I just felt like Godzilla running felt a bit weird. It looked less CGI, like a weighted monster, and looked more like someone was in a suit again. But I'm gonna, like the rest of you, I'm gonna see this movie. I feel like it's gonna be an action-packed adrenaline thriller that we hope it will be. So I'm just gonna watch it with an open mind, because I'm sure, of course, we've had movies where trailers don't do the movie justice. Whereas we've seen it vice versa, where the trailer is great, but the movie is, what the crap did you people do? But I think this movie would be good as long as we say, if we go back and watch the Monsterverse movies and then watch the Godzilla and Kong, we'd be like, okay, this all makes sense. But then we get to the Ape King. I'm not going to say his actual name in case of spoilers, because I don't want to spoil in case no one knows. But I will say this. I was disappointed because when we see that teaser 5 to 7 months back, I'm thinking, okay, I'll keep an open mind. He's probably going to look very menacing. This motherfucker looks like Mr. Burns from The Simpsons.
See that? I actually see that.
I'm like, son of a bitch, people. You had one job. Make him look intimidating and impressive. I got Joe Biden fires from that. Monkey would be looking stressed from sitting on that chair for too long.
Jake.
Oh, man. God, I can't stop laughing.
Jake.
Oh, shit. Mr. Burns. Oh, my God. I enjoyed the trailer. It's going to be intriguing to see how the mech hand is going to be used by Kong. I do like the design of how Godzilla looks. They almost are paying homage to the Millennium Godzilla in a way, in my eye. As for the orange monkey, I'll have to wait to see him in action before I can say anything about it. So,
Copyrighted content has been detected in your video.
so for other than that, I'm anxious to see how this film's going to turn out and all that. So that's all I got to say about that.
Goji.
Dude, I heard that crack. Good Lord.
He's looking like me sometimes when I start talking with Danny about stuff. I gotta like, yeah, okay, we're gonna get into this.
New Empire. This looks like a bucket of cheese that I can spread over a pile of nachos, and I'm here for all of it. It looks like so much fun. I love all of the Showa series. Well, most of the Showa series. There's some Showa films I don't really reach for to watch, but I like the films where Godzilla does goofy stuff. You know, where he fights Megalon and he's rolling around on his tail. I like the one where he fights the cockroach aliens. Okay. I like the one where the guy has to make the toy with loud noises to beat the aliens and set the monsters free. Okay. You know, I like the silly. Godzilla can be silly. He doesn't have to be dark and serious all the time. You know, I like him dark and serious. That's why we got -1. You know, but he can be silly. And this movie looks very silly, and I'm here for it. As far as Godzilla's dorsal plates and his breath being pink, yeah, it's different. It's very different. But also, let's remember, like what J. Call was saying, this is like the Millennium series. He had the purplish pink dorsal plates that were a lot sharper looking. That's what this Godzilla has in there as well. He's a lot more pointier. Well, with Godzilla the Ride, or this one kind of looks like -1. This one has, points on him as well. I thought for the elbows as well. Kong okay. This is a theory. I don't know if this is real. I don't read spoilers. I don't read scripts. I don't do any of that nonsense. Okay. I try to stay as completely out of that as much as possible. As far as this gauntlet that Kong is wearing, I don't think it's a gauntlet at all. Okay, first, if this ends up being true, I'm sorry. I'm not trying to, spoil the movie for anyone. I don't think it's a gauntlet at all. I think it's a cast. I think that in the movie, it's funny. We see Kong with his axe in one scene of the trailer. Then towards the end of the trailer, we see Kong and Godzilla running together, but he's wearing the gauntlet, but he doesn't have the axe. I have a feeling he's not going to have that axe anymore, but he's going to get this thing on his arm.
Yeah.
There's that. As far
let me ask you this. Let me ask you this real quick, because you brought up about the cheese factor.
Okay.
Does it bother you at all that with 2014 we kind of started off with this serious plot line, and then King of the Monsters we kind of stayed with that with the eco-terrorist and all this, and then all of a sudden with Godzilla and Kong we started moving more into this like cheese territory? Does it bother you at all that they're not staying true to the source? Because it's really weird, because we're going to talk about Monarch later, and so Monarch still kind of has that serious undertone. So how do you feel about where the direction of the movies are going?
It doesn't bother me at all, because Gojira in 1954 was a serious, almost documentary, almost kind of feel of, Japan dealing with the aftermath of Hiroshima and Nagasaki. And then we went into Godzilla Raids Again, which was kind of humanity and the working man against, Godzilla and Anguirus, which went into King Kong versus Godzilla, which kind of had an undertone of commercialism for that. And then we went into Mothra versus Godzilla, which is kind of like an eco-terrorist, not an eco-terrorist, but like an eco-capitalist kind of thing. Then we went into straight up aliens after that. So it had its own little step and its own little progression the way how it is. So in a way, it feels like it's in favor, or it's in line like with the original Godzilla series as well. It started off serious, and then it started to gradually get a little more sillier. I mean, to stay serious the entire time, it'd be kind of difficult to keep that kind of momentum. It makes sense for them to kind of change it up, and there might be from some very serious moments in the film. And we're seeing just the things to really catch our eyes right now. We're not seeing the entire film. There might be some huge moments we're not seeing yet that might actually be like, oh man, that's incredibly incredible. Stuff like that. Sorry, I don't really speak English good. So anyway, but Godzilla X Kong New Empire, it looks like fun. This new bad guy, I'm going to call him Louis. Let's call him
Louis.
He's the
or you just call
from the Jungle Book.
Yeah, or if you're like me, if you're like me and you're old, you can call him Clyde from the Clint Eastwood movies. Right turn, Clyde.
He's the king of soul.
Sentry.
Idea, because we were all calling it for years. Oh, Destroya, Violante. Yeah. People were saying Gigan, because in Godzilla King of the Monsters, in the newspaper clippings in the credits, they were saying, oh, a cybernetic kaiju looking thing. You're like, oh, Gigan, it could be Gigan. So we all had these ideas, but now they're going with another ape. So it's like, I'm here for it. Go for it. I don't think we've ever had a rival ape deal with Kong before, except for McKinney Kong. So I'm here for the whole thing, and I don't want to take too much more time. So
that's okay.
I'm stoked. I'm here for all of this. It's like the meme I showed the other day ago. Pink, blue, yellow, whatever color it is, just keep it coming.
Sentry.
Like you guys mentioned the cheese, man. I want extra jalapenos on that freaking plate of nachos, cause I'm all in, dude. I'm all in. I already, like I said, I like the MonsterVerse. I didn't mention Shin for a reason. Just letting Walter know. So it's like it's just the whole point, man. It's like -1 is -1 already set the tone, but now it's like I'm not taking it seriously, so that's why I'll watch it and I'll just go with it. Like I'll go in and soak it all up. And even though it's Scar King, receding hairline, enemy guy, so I mean, so dude, I'm just in for it now. Now it's just fun, bro. Now it's just how can I say it? It's let's say Guardians of the Galaxy. Now I'll use it as yeah, it's like Guardians of the Galaxy now. We got Godzilla and Kong. They're gonna fight Drax, a bigger version of Drax. So let's just put it like that. But I'm all in, bro. I mean, after, like I said, after -1, man, I'm like -1 blew my freaking mind and a lot of everybody's mind. So I'm just going in like Matt and everybody has said. I'm just gonna have fun with it, man. I'm gonna go in, watch it, just say, whether I like it or not, I don't give a shit what anybody else says. Bitch and complain about Godzilla, this and that. You guys been bitching and complaining. You're never gonna stop. So I don't listen.
Right.
So I'm just gonna be like, you know what, man? Fuck you if you don't like it. You don't like it. Don't come to me telling me this shit, that shit. I'm gonna say my piece with the crew, everybody here, Metal Tavern. So I'm all in. Just like Gojira Fight 1, I'm all in, bro. I'm all in, man.
Yeah, I'm just waiting for the end of the movie though, when they finish fighting and everything, and then all of a sudden Vin Diesel shows up and says, "Family." That's the crossover we all want, right?
Right.
Mass 20.
That's still just blasting.
I mean, what would be something that makes you feel like it was not like a good movie?
If Nick Fury walked in and was like, "Oh, I talked to you about the Avengers,"
Godzilla just blasted to oblivion.
And yes, DJ Neko has joined us with her presence.
Yes.
Good.
Good to see you, Neko. Good to see you.
Exactly. Another lady that joined us.
Super red.
What happened to Daniel?
Good Lord, what's he doing?
He's coming back. There he is.
Okay.
Okay,
there we go.
Must ingest more fuel.
That was Daniel.
Okay.
Okay, yeah. Hey, add some chili beans. Add some chili beans. Add some chili beans to those nachos on top of the jalapenos. Yeah. So
no, you don't need any beans, man. Nachos and jalapenos are perfect.
Yeah, beans just ruined the nachos for me.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness.
All right. So, my thoughts on GXK is, yeah, cheese is fine. I can't complain. The fact that we're getting so many Godzilla and Kaiju stuff is really making me happy. Sci-Fi and I did a review for the Gamera animated series, which was fantastic. I loved it. So actually, I'm hoping they still come out with live action Gamera soon too, because I really want to see that as well. But you can't complain, man. This is where we wanted. 2014 kind of kicked off the entire MonsterVerse, and I'm here for it all. Not sure, like, again, seeing -1, it's such a fantastic film that I'm not sure how I'm going to feel after I watch this. Like, I'm going to have to go in with the same mindset that everyone else is, that you're going to have to.
It's a different type of movie.
Separate it entirely.
Yeah,
going in knowing that it's not going to be what I just witnessed, and
like -1 is like Oppenheimer, and GVK is Barbie.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, I'm not saying that in a bad way either, because I liked Barbie a lot. Like, a lot. Like, loved Barbie. But if you are trying to compare the style of movie or like the quote unquote cheese factor, cheese factor is okay. That was one thing I actually loved about the Barbie movie, because it transported me 30 some years back in time as a child. So
you're not you're not hijacking this Dread Barbie shit.
No, I was just gonna say, like, but it's okay to like kind of like go back to your childhood and think about things that you enjoy. So even though it may not be a serious type movie, it still is something that's entertaining and still, worthwhile and value added. Like -1 was very different and unexpected. Like we all feel that, right? Like -1 was very unexpected. It was different. It kind of put like, even though we had the legendary, MonsterVerse coming out, it was still different than the legendary MonsterVerse. It felt like something that was dramatic. It felt like, yeah, I love that. That was the one thing I said. So I said to DJ Anubis while we're watching, and I was like, Godzilla has magenta spikes since when? Like it was very weird to me, but you can appreciate something that's a little bit corny and still appreciate the fun aspect about it.
Yeah, the other good news is that Adam Wingard, who did Godzilla and Kong, is doing this one too. So I have faith that he's
wasn't bad. No, it wasn't bad
I
at all.
mean, Godzilla vs. Kong is the highest rated MonsterVerse movie, and it's the only one to have a certified fresh rating on Rotten Tomatoes. So that gives me all the credibility needed to know that Ringon knows what he's doing. And also to piggyback off of what DJ Nico said, now that you said that it's going to be like Barbie, now I'm expecting Godzilla to go bursting through the ice singing I'm Just Ken.
Yeah, and he's pink already, so.
Yeah. Well, let's move on. Let's move on to the movie of the hour here, because we know this guy.
There he is.
There he is.
He's probably the most menacing looking Godzilla I've ever seen outside of GVK. But -1, Neko and I went and saw this a few days back.
It was fun. It was last Friday, right?
And amazing film. Plot wise, like I think I went in with just average expectations. But by the time I came out, I was like blown away because the story was just so strong.
And were you guys like me, where I purposely avoided trailers? I saw like a teaser trailer a while ago, and that's all I watched. And it didn't give me a lot of like information. So I said, that's enough. I don't want to be spoiled. I did not read, watch anything. No Facebook, no Twitter, nothing. I did not want it to be spoiled, because when what was it? The one that really spoiled it.
King of the Monsters.
Yeah, King
they
of the
had
Monsters.
Like 20 fucking trailers.
So King of the Monsters, I was super excited about. So I watched every single trailer available, and it ruined it for me because everything was kind of revealed in the trailers. So I said to DJ Anubis, I'm like, I'm not watching any of these trailers after this teaser trailer, because I'm like, this is enough to get me intrigued. So were you guys like that too, or did you kind of seek out more trailers?
Let's go to Matt.
I'm 100% on your side. I hate that. In fact, I wanted to do a video on my YouTube channel about trailers and value, pretty much. Because with every trailer that's released, then I feel the value of what you're about to watch diminishes. Because when you watch a trailer, the one trailer should be enough. And I feel the one trailer that they released, they should be able to cut that one trailer into enough pieces with no extra footage to keep people intrigued until the movie comes out. When they release extra trailers with extra footage added to it, they're showing more and more of the movie, therefore taking value away from the movie. But they're still expecting you to pay full price for a ticket. And that
I was thankful that I didn't watch the second trailer for -1 before we saw the movie, because the second one does show the tail lighting up. I'm glad that was a surprise when I went in the theater. So when I finally watched it, I was like, oof, glad I avoided that, because the first trailer was fine. You didn't need much more than that.
Right.
So yeah. So
But wait, one more thing.
Yeah.
The problem is that, as you can see, I'm a collector. I'm in certain groups on Facebook and Instagram and stuff like that. there are certain Bandai figures that were trying to be kept under wraps, but people would find them and they would post them. There were huge spoilers for the movie. It's like, oh, I had no idea that was a thing. And then it's like, oh, now I know what to expect in the movie. Thanks. So it's not just for movies, it's actually, pictures and stuff for toys. So I feel that's a big thing that every company should really, step on. It's like, if you're going to do things for these movies, you have your fan base. We're going to buy these things. You don't have to show them off, months ahead of time because it's actually taking away from the movie. So I feel like they all need to really step on that and really, knock that off. So that's me and my soapbox.
I agree too.
So I'm just gonna put it out there that I'm starting to GoFundMe for anybody in this group that wants to like donate money to my Godzilla -1 figurine. And my King Ghidorah that I still need, that big ass one. It's like $600 or whatever the fuck.
You got the King Ghidorah at G
Dude,
Fest.
I got fucking mini King Ghidorah. Okay, that wasn't the one that I wanted. Oh,
I'll start your GoFundMe. I'll start your GoFundMe, man. $1.50. $1.50. There you go.
Yeah, well, big spender over there. Yeah, okay. Daniel, well, hey, Matt, did you want to give more thoughts on -1? How you felt about it?
On -1,
yeah.
As far as the trailer or the movie?
The movie itself, yeah.
Absolute perfection. Not a lot of movies bring me to tears, and as a 30-year-old man, I don't have any trouble saying that. This movie brought me to tears. Not only for the Godzilla stuff, but the human aspect. In fact, if you take Godzilla and you put him on the back burner and you just focus on the human characters, there's so much tragedy in this film, it moves you. I was on this theater screening that I just saw. There was a lot more people in the screening this time when I saw it. There's about 20 people in the theater this time rather than 5. And half the screening was younger kids, like between 14 and 18 years old, young people. The human, they were fist bumping when the Godzilla stuff was there. Yeah, that was to be expected. I was, jumping around kind of internally when Godzilla was doing his thing as well. But when the human stuff was happening, when the tragedy, I could hear them like, oh no. And then when the good things are like, oh, no way, that just happens. Like I can hear it's like there's emotion going on. I didn't really hear that kind of emotion going on with the other films. Like when Godzilla would do his thing in King of the Monsters, everybody would be like, yeah, he breathed fire, hooray! And when he fought King Ghidorah, yeah, that's cool. But when the humans are doing their thing, they'd be like, playing on my phone, okay, this is good. One, everybody had its attention, and that shows how much of a great film this is. I think it's absolute perfection. And then I've seen this online, people saying that they have zero qualms showing this film or recommending this film to their non-Godzilla fans. I second that. Third, fourth, fifth, and fifth that. Show this film to anyone and everywhere. This is an excellent film. 10 out of 10. Perfect film. My favorite film to watch. So, yeah.
Yeah, there was a couple of a deja vu moment for Neko and I. When we saw 2014 at the drive-in, I knew from talking to another guy, because I had asked him a couple of questions without any real details, but I had asked him, like, does Godzilla have his heat ray? And he's like, just watch the film, my friend. So we were in the drive-in watching, and sure enough, the tail lights up, and her and I just look at each other.
We reached for each other's hands when the heat
it's like happened. The Power Twins, like,
because we were
fuck yeah!
It's like that. It's like that gif of Joe Rogan at the UFC match where everybody's going nuts. He's just like doing this.
Exactly.
And then, like, again, in -1, like, it works differently, but when the light shines from the water underneath the ship, I'm like, we're again looking at each other like, fuck yeah, dude. Yeah. And so that was a really cool moment for us watching those films.
And the one part too, spoiler. Are we spoilering?
Try not to, because
okay, I'm not spoilering, but we both kind of looked at each other at one point towards the end of the movie, and we're like, together.
Oh yeah.
You know, yeah. So no spoilers, but spoiler because we both were excited and together.
Daniel.
Modern day masterpiece. I mean, it was written. It's like it was written in blood. Like, and that's how much they put the effort into the film. And you say no spoilers, okay? I'll try my best, man. But
well, look, I mean, it's fine. Yeah, don't worry about it because, like, you know,
no. Yeah,
just for now, for people who are watching this, if you don't want spoilers, just stop now and come back.
yeah.
That way, I can cover my ass.
No. No. I'll just say, the human story just grabs you. I mean, it not only Godzilla himself, but it the story, the drama, the intrigue, the satire, when I looked at where they were living in shacks. They were living in shacks that were just, like rubble.
Oh, you bring up a great point, because one thing I pointed out with NECA was the attention to detail with the destruction of the air raids and everything else. Like, I thought that was so fucking great, and you really felt it. Like, you just really felt.
And you love the part where he rebuilt his house, and he was just like so proud. And
I mean, it was that's what I'm saying. It was. I mean, when I'm thinking to myself, like, man, like, I'm thinking my mental health issues or the shit I go through is bad. I'm like, look at them. They're look at that. And even one person said it. I won't say who, but he says, live to battle, like battle to live for the future. Battle to live for the future. That's what he said. I won't say who, but it says battle to live for the future, and then we leave the future to you.
2 or 3 times. There was another point that I thought was really amazing. Now, I don't remember the character's name, so if you guys remember Kamiki, who plays Kochi, I think that's the guy. He's gonna go on that ship. They're picking up the mines and taking care of them and setting them off. So there's 3 guys. You got the doctor, you got the pilot of the ship, and then the third guy who's the youngest one, the captain. The youngest one. So the youngest one, that moment, like, if all the moments that kind of got me was when they were getting ready to go to their final confrontation with Godzilla. And the younger guy's like, yeah, I finally want to get out there and help and try to stop Godzilla. And then the captain and the doctor are like, nope, you're staying behind. And then, of course, they're walking away, and he's like really upset. And they're like, well, you're going to help lead the future. Now, obviously, it doesn't plan out that way. There's some other things that go on with the young character. But yeah, I thought it was a real kind of a emotional moment there, because, like, they really were thinking about his future because of how young he was. So I don't know how you guys felt about that particular moment, but that was a really good moment in the movie.
We leave you the future.
Yeah.
We leave you the future. Yeah.
Yes.
But I know for me, that got me, because he was really saying, he was straining, saying, please let me go with you, because he said he's never been in a war before, but here's something he said is worth fighting for. It's like, I'll give my life to do this, and they tell him to no, stay
They
here.
don't want him fighting because he's too young. They don't want him to see what they've seen from the battles they've been through.
I mean, all of us, we are all too young. We don't remember World War II. And that's kind of like where this kicks off, right? And I've read novels and I've read autobiographies about, like, things that's happened in World War II. So, like, when you hear them kind of just like, they're really trying to tell the kid, like, you don't want what we've seen. Like, just, it's not good. And the kid is trying to be so proud and helpful. And spoiler alert, he was very helpful. That's one thing that, like, when we're talking about character development in this entire movie, you really, like, this movie is not corny. This movie is moving, and this movie really has people who are dealing with shit. They're and World War II was, like, no fucking joke. Like, even in Japan or the United States, etc., like, I hear, like, my great grandparents are no longer alive now, but they would talk about random shit from World War II, and it would be like, yeah, like we have rations and you get like, 1 pint of milk a week. And that's in the United States. Just imagine like in Europe or Japan where we see he's living in a shack. Like everybody is just trying to kind of like scrape together. And I feel like that whole like wholesome togetherness and we're gonna
Unity.
group. Yes, thank
Yeah.
you. The whole unity feeling, really, you got that through this movie. All right, I'm done talking. Somebody else talk.
That's it. No, you bring up a good point, Nico, because it's something that I've realized when you said that. You know how you hear stories about the wars back then. That's one thing about World War II. I know specifically, like for me in Anubis, we used to see a lot of bless you. We used to see a lot of war movies, dealing with World War II, but they how can I say, they kind of made it soft in a sense. You know there was people dying, but they didn't really show the horror of what those soldiers went through. And it was kind of like films like Saving Private Ryan that really brought that to light. Because for the longest time, I was never really sure about how war was like that during that span of time. And then when I saw that film, it's like, oh shit, these men were really getting crucified. They were getting, I mean, there was blood, there was guts, there was all these kind of dismemberment. It's like, this is the thing I think that this movie kind of tackles a little bit more, even though it's PG-13. It really says like war is horrible. You don't just you don't romanticize it or anything like that. You'll make it seem like, oh, you went to war, you come back, No, soldiers, when any person goes to war, they see shit. They see shit, and it makes them kind of like, just like, I don't know if I can go back to civilian life, But some of them like, okay, we do want to go back, but we've seen horrors that we can never explain. And if we do, it's like, are you want to still join, to fight this, And I think that's, like you say, this is what those two were trying to explain to the young one. It's like the horrors are more horrible than you think they are. They're horrible, And I think we can.
And remember when he first got home and he got home to his house that was destroyed in an air raid, and his like the face he had was just like pure shock. Like, I'm sure in the back of his mind he's like, yeah, like it's a war, but he came home and he's like, my family is gone. And you can't even, again, because I am not living that reality, but I feel like that the movie really kind of put the emotion in that, because he's like, crap or shit, fuck, ass, I don't know what, because there is not a word to think about when you come home to your house that's in rubble and your entire family is
Well, I believe
gone.
also that his parents, or maybe his mother, I think he referenced that she had told him to come back alive too. I don't think they understood that he was taking on a kamikaze role, which I'm going to interject because we are talking about the importance of the war and to them and everything else. Is that there is a video out there, and thankfully it's a very minor one, where some podcasters say that the movie's overrated. Now everyone's entitled to their opinion.
Fuck
so
them, motherfuckers.
But one of the things that got brought up was, and I didn't watch the entire thing because it kind of drives me insane to watch people who are kind of ignorant in some ways, but apparently there was a reference to, they thought that the movie was pro-suicide, and I was like, this is someone who really doesn't understand Japanese culture.
Wow.
That's someone who doesn't know their history.
Right. They don't know what it was to mean to be a kamikaze pilot. And it has nothing to do about wanting suicide. It was just an honorable thing to do at the time. So again, I'm glad that that's like a minor amount of people that would even think that. But it's so disheartening when people don't really understand Japanese culture and what it really means to be a Japanese person. And so, especially during that time, So yeah, it's I'm glad that you guys are all bringing up the importance of how it was for them, even after we dropped the bomb and everything else. Like I've told her, you know, despite the mistake that we made doing that and the innocent people that we killed, we did go back and help them rebuild. Like we did learn from that mistake.
And it was kind of like, and I said this because I don't want to call myself a World War II buff, but I love reading autobiographies and historical documents about World War II. And, you know, we as the United States did something terrible, but it was after like Japan was like kind of like taking it to the next level. And I think that because everything that has happened, we as, citizens or whatever, we can, I don't want to say appreciate, but maybe understand, like when you see -1, or when you read anything about World War II, you really feel the emotion kind of like attached to it.
Well, what I can appreciate about the film was that they didn't try to lecture their viewers about, America being evil. Like, obviously, it was a bad time in history, but that's the one thing I can appreciate about this. We can address the tragedy of the war and the aftermath of it, but we were able to learn a lot from the Japanese side of it, what they went through, like without the whole like, yeah, America's just so bad for doing it. Because there was a mention, of course, you guys will remember that it's actually America after the Bikini Atoll when we, test the
That's where we
bomb
were
over there.
testing the bomb.
Yep.
They detect Godzilla and they're warning Japan that, this fucking thing is coming your way, but we can't do anything because we will tip off the Soviets who would be pissed off, and it's just too temperamental right now. So I'm glad that they approached it that way. I thought Takashi did a really great job with his writing and his sensitivity to everybody involved. It wasn't just the
Like
Japanese
America
themselves.
bad.
Right. So
Everything was sensitive though, man. Everything. I'm sorry, everything. But like, you have a point. Like everything was sensitive, bro. Like, don't tip off USA, or the Soviets will think they're doing something shady, or like you can understand the even their own in the movie, bro. Even the citizens blame their own government. They blame their
Yes.
own government,
Yes.
bro.
I was
Yep.
getting
They
ready to
blame their own
bring that.
government.
I was getting ready to bring that up. One thing I liked is that it showed that they were taking, because one thing that's issue in America is they keep trying to force us to apologize. But if you watch the -1, it showed the Japanese actually took responsibility for what happened. Like they mentioned, like we did it, but they forced our hand to do what we had to do, and we see them direct this anger towards their government. And that's another thing I like too, is that it showed the accuracy of how they felt during World War II and after World War II, and they were just super pissed off at their government as they realized their government was willing to sacrifice innocent lives for what was to be a lost cause.
That's a really good point.
And another thing that was amazing too is, of course, you guys mentioned this too, is when he came back and how everyone treated him, especially when he was on the ship back to Japan from Odo Island after Godzilla's attack, like how the Man treated him. I mean, Rob brought this up too, and that's the fact that if a kamikaze pilot is alive, it's like that's like something that is a no-no. It's like you're not supposed to be alive as a kamikaze pilot. So he was just given the death stare. People just hating on him. Just
you become a pariah.
Sheep.
Yeah,
Yeah,
you become
and
a pariah.
especially his neighbor. She was like beating the crap out of him. Like, my kids are dead because you didn't kill yourself.
Yeah, yeah. But that talks about the whole coming around at the end, like where everyone's starting to appreciate, you need to live. And that's why I love the character of Tachibana so much, because he too learns the same thing.
Yeah, he literally told him. He literally told him.
How's your feelings on -1, my friend?
Oh man. Me and my brother went to go see it at a fan event. And from start to finish, it was just a chef's kiss because this never happens to me often. Only the second time this has ever happened to me, but my jaw literally dropped towards the end of the film, towards the finale. And my brother literally looked at me, and apparently my jaw was dropped for a good 3 minutes. I mean, that's how good that film was. And I mean, it's really hard not to spoil anything, but you know,
What I found interesting was for a movie that was like 2 hours plus, didn't feel like 2 hours. That's how good it was. Like it just
The
streamlined.
pacing was phenomenal.
oh
Yes.
yeah, I
I
mean,
agree. I 100% agree.
from start to finish, it was just good storyline. Love how they did the history. Love how they involved Godzilla in this history. I mean,
So I have a question for you, Jake. Like, for me, I watched the one teaser trailer and I said, that's it. I'm not watching anything else. I don't want to spoil myself because of the whole like King of the Monsters thing. Because I watched 8,000 trailers of that and I was like,
disappointed.
I don't want to say disappointed in the movie,
But
because
they gave away a lot.
Yeah, they gave away too much.
Yeah.
So in my brain, I was like, I had a totally different story cooked up. Did you feel that way after you saw the teaser trailer? Were you like, oh, I know what's going to happen. I know. Me, I'm like, I know. And then I saw the movie and I'm like, this is not anything that I thought was going to happen.
Mm-hmm.
ooh, that is a good question. I never really thought of it. I mean, I just enjoyed the teaser, and I did watch the second one, and after that, I didn't watch anything else. I only watched the first two.
I do wonder, and anybody could answer this. Like, right? Okay, so when Godzilla comes into Tokyo and he uses his heat ray, we know that a certain someone, little lovely lady, is like blown away. We know the end result of her by the end of the movie, but was anyone surprised as I was that she was still alive?
I actually was, to a point. I was like, what the hell? You literally got blown 15 yards away with all that.
I mean, he annihilated that entire section, man. I'm like,
Yeah, I mean,
ain't no way.
I'm like,
When
there's
she
no way.
pushed him to like the alleyway and then she got hit by all that like shrapnel, I started like crying. I'm like,
Yeah, I was surprised.
I thought she was gone. I thought she was gone.
Yeah, I was like, they
I thought she was
killed
was
her.
gone. She was toast. I was like, she was
Dunzo.
toast. Like she was. That's it. Like she was. I thought like even me and my mom watched it. My mom was like, no.
Burnt. She was burnt toast.
Yeah.
Yep.
But then to see she just lost an eye, it's like, what?
Go ahead, Matt.
How did I feel about her being blown away? The answer is blowing in the wind. I'm kidding. I look at it as a gift.
Yeah.
I look at it as a that's the happy ending. That is the happiest ending that it could have. Okay, are we doing spoilers?
That's fine. Go ahead, because everybody I've told them earlier, if you don't want it, don't watch it. But
we're safe.
Yeah, we're safe.
The whole movie, Shikizima, he is just in a terrible spot mentally with everything that's happened to him. It's just tragedy over and over again. And then it gets to a point in his life where it's like, hey, can I forgive myself? I think it's time I forgive myself and I move on. And it's like, yes, that's awesome, because we've all had that in our lives where we all are at a low point and we're all like mentally hurt about something. And it's like, it's time to move on. All right, let your heart beat again. I think that's a song. But anyway, and then something even more horrible happens because he wanted to be with her. But
Yep.
the thing is, his war isn't over.
Yeah.
And then now he wants to put his sword down. Now he wants to put it all down. Now he wants to, he wants to do what's right. Now Godzilla's here. Now she's taken from him. Now they have the child. Now she's crying. That's even worse. That's even bigger knife in the heart. Now he's just completely broken now. Now it's to the point of the movie where he's just about, resolved himself in his mind. Hey, I'm done. I'm going to go kill Godzilla, and I'm going to go avenge her, and everything's going to be great. Yes, Tachibana does tell him about the ejector seat, which, that brings me to the point of the talk about suicide, which they actually have a point where Doc actually says, we made tanks with poor armor. We made planes without parachutes. We had kamikaze. We had suiciders. Okay, these are all bad things. We need to do something better for the future.
Yep.
Was that part missed when this review was done? What with these people? I'm sorry, I'm on my soapbox again. But anyway.
No, stay on your soapbox.
Yeah.
So
just don't slip off.
Right.
Okay, so happy ending. Godzilla is defeated. And he comes back, and then the aunt, or I'm just gonna call her the aunt. I can't remember her name. She gets a telegram. Like, okay, come on, this could be only one thing. Okay, it's building to this. He has to get a happy ending. He has to get a nice ending in the end. This has to work out in the end. It can only be one thing. She brings the daughter, gives him the telegram, and he goes and he sees her, and it's like. If you see her sitting in the bed, it's so wonderful. It's like, yes, he finally gets closure.
Peace.
He finally gets his happy ending, and everything just works out finally. He can finally put his, and she says to him, I'm sorry if I'm spoiling this. Is your war over?
Mm-hmm.
And he's crying, and he says, yes, it's over. And it's like, yes.
Yes.
That's the brilliance of Yamazaki, because
Yamazaki mentioned that
he did it through the entire film, that he would lead you on this roller coaster. So you would start here, and like the brilliance with like Tachibana and all them is that he starts explaining, when you get close to Godzilla, pull this, that's going to activate the bomb on the plane. And they end it. He's still talking to Kochi, but like you don't know what he's saying. We learn later what was being said. But as you had that moment where the ships are trying to pull Godzilla away, but they are unable to kill him right away. So he's starting to recharge, and they all are like, we're fucked. We are just so fucked. Kochi comes around, he's flying around, they go in this slow motion where everyone's like, the captain screaming like, no, don't do it. And he flies in. Like, I actually initially missed the ejection. Like, I thought he was inside his mouth. And then you learn, of course, that Tachibana gave him an ejection. And like, there's just other like moments, like you said, Matt, about at the end with the girl, there's like this understanding and forgiveness and everything else. But the same thing with Tachibana, who had been so hard on Kochi about not killing Godzilla when he was a lot smaller.
Mm-hmm.
And he's like, yeah, this is your ejection button. And like Kochi's face, dude, it just makes you like emotionally melt, because he's like, oh my God.
Can I just say this? I
Go
think
ahead.
when Tachibana saw the picture of Akiko's drawing of him, the mom, him, I forgot her name,
Yes.
the girl, her and Kochi, like they were all together, and Tachibana sees that, and he says, yeah, a girl that I'm taking care of, drew this for me. She's waiting for me to come back home, and I think that's what set him off. He's like, okay, you know what, that's what said, you know what, hate is eating him alive, and I guess that, just in my opinion, is eating him alive.
Well, no, you're right, because he was also carrying around those photos that Tachibana gave him of those guys that died on Odo Island. So he was carrying all that weight, the guilt, around with him. So like, I think Tachibana just said, you know what, man, I gotta let.
I gotta give this guy a break.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, John, what were you saying a second ago?
Okay, what part were we at that I could try to reiterate that way I don't end up forgetting?
I don't know. She's the one that like pointed it out. What
The
was he talking
ejection
about?
seat. The ejection seat.
And right before we were talking about him seeing her in the hospital.
Dang, I'm trying to remember. I think it was during what Matt was saying. Then went off to Anubis, and then I forget what
It's
it
all right.
was.
You'll think about it.
I'm sorry, bro. Yeah, my bad, man. It was probably my fault. I apologize, John.
Oh no, you're fine. It's nothing to do with you. Trust me.
So I'm gonna go around the room. Well, I guess we can just kind of take turns because it's not that big a deal. But what is the running theory now about the markings on her neck at the end?
I'm thinking.
I think we'll start with.
Or start with John. John's talking. So
John, go ahead, John.
I was gonna say this is just my basic things. It's just a hint of It's just his hinting of radiation poisoning because back during the Ginza disaster, I'm not sure if you guys know anything on this, but there was black rain, which was stated to happen after the atomic bombing, which that's usually indicated that anyone around Godzilla is screwed. And so I'm thinking that's radiation poisoning.
Wouldn't Kochi have that too, though? Because he was there.
That's true, too.
Maybe he does have it and just didn't show up.
I'm just thinking it was just a small hint that Yamazaki wanted to do. Like I'm gonna guess he didn't want to do too giveaway, but he just want to have a hint of something. Or someone mentioned it could be her mutating into something else. I have seen those theories popping around. I'd say it could be give or take. Until a sequel happens and they actually build off of that. I'm just gonna go with it's radiation poisoning because no Yamazaki mentioned. He's not a fan of a clean ending because his idea is he wants to keep all characters alive, including Godzilla in everyone's heart. He wants to have all characters alive in the audience's heart.
I like that.
Matt, your theory.
She's gonna become Venom.
She's gonna stare into the mirror and talk to herself.
We gotta eat a lot of people. Yeah, great.
Okay, one guy. No, okay, bad guy.
I don't know. In fact, I was gonna try to ask you guys. I don't know what that means. It's very interesting because it actually it's in her bloodstream. And it's black, so it's like, what is that? Is her blood turning? I've never seen. Does radiation poisoning make your blood turn black? I don't know that. I don't know that.
I got it. I know what it is now. I know what it is.
What is it?
She's got a connection to Gamera. That's what's gonna fucking happen. Gamera versus Godzilla.
Oh my God.
Don't do that.
Here comes the heated debates going between the fan bases now.
Well, wasn't there like one of the Gamera movies with Iris? I think one of the girls had a connection with Gamera or something like that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Before that, it was like a girl found a chip of something that got stuck to her, and then the second movie it shattered because she used that to revive him.
Walter, what is your theory about it all?
About that, kind of pretty much what John and Matt was saying because when you first, because I missed it on the first showing or the first viewing. When I saw it again the next time, I was like, "Oh, that's what that was," And then I looked, it's like it's kind of just popping up under her skin, so you don't really, and you see kind of a blackness to it. So it's like I say, it could be some radiation poisoning, or as I think Matt brought out, it could be, who knows? It could be. I'm thinking this too. It could be something about Godzilla that's imprinted on her, kind of like way. Yeah, well, the thing I was thinking was like how Neo went to Agent Smith, and something resonated on him and just never went away. So who knows? I mean, part of Godzilla might be in her now, So it's like that could be the case. That would be a weird twist because that's kind of like, okay, that's kind of different, but that's what I'm thinking it could be, because it's like it just seems kind of strange how you see it. It's like, and it's very subtle, but it's like then when you see it's like it's just kind of like throbbing there, So it's like, who knows what that could be?
Yeah, so it could be kind of like Miki, and she could like sense when he's surviving.
Oh, that
Maybe.
sounds
But, it could still be the theory, kind of like Gamera, only this time the connections with Godzilla, but it's hard to say.
It's really interesting because this movie has been, quite historical. They take a lot of historical fact and kind of like mesh it into a fictitious movie. And I recently read the book called Hiroshima, which is quite graphic. So if I don't know if anybody wants to read about what happened, but a lot of the survivors of Hiroshima, like, it's bad. Like their eyeballs melted kind of bad. Like they didn't die, but their eyeballs melted.
Yeah.
So I'm wondering if, like, what you guys are saying, like Godzilla is imprinting on her, but maybe it's something to do with the radiation as well. And our happy ending that we kind of loved is not really a happy ending, which would suck. But you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't. Who just talked? I didn't hear you.
No, it's a happy ending. That's all there is to it. Nothing else. I'm kidding. I'm kidding. I'm kidding.
It's just there to set up Godzilla raids again. That's all.
There you go. I'm down for that.
Yeah.
But
all
I
right.
want let me just bring something up real quick. I just want to point something out real quick. Is that this is one time where how American soldiers, they show their PTSD in the films after they come back. We really don't. This is the kind of the first time I really see how the soldiers in Japan really suffer from PTSD.
That is a great point.
They really are. You look. I've seen so many films where you see soldiers go to war in some Japanese films or whatever. You never really see it this strong like this. I mean, you see it in American films. You may see it in British, whatever. This is one of the times where you see that really come to the forefront, and it's like that's a good point to show that, because like he was supposed to be a kamikaze. He's supposed to take his life to do what he's supposed to do, but you see, even doing that, not doing it, it still has an effect on him. So it's good to
not
see
just
that.
him, but like the other soldiers and the doctor, the scientist, the mechanic. Like you see, like they were just doing what they were told. They're like, this is war, so kind of do what you're told.
All right, well let's jump into Monarch now. So
oh shit, yeah.
Apple Plus has a new series. It's part of the MonsterVerse for Legendary, called Monarch: Legacy of Monsters. Written by Chris Black and Matt Fraction, and the cast consists of Anna Sawai, Kiersey Clemens, Ren Wadabe, Kurt Russell, and his son Wyatt Russell. Basically, this is a series that it kind of timeline jumps, so you get a little bit of from the early days in the 50s and 60s.
Timeline jumping,
and then of course also some of it takes place after 2014 and before King of the Monsters, where you have a young woman who is going to Japan to find her dad, who they assumed was dead, and she finds out he actually had another family in Tokyo, and discovers a brother and everything else. So now it's like they're trying to unravel the mystery of who their father really was, what he did for a job. Kurt Russell, of course, is playing Shaw, who has been around since the early days of Monarch's formation, who also worked with the young woman's grandmother. And so far it's about
grandmother and dad and grandmother, grandfather, and father.
Yeah. So we're about 5 episodes in. It kind of touches on some of the things we've learned in King of the Monsters, where the world has other kaiju hidden within the earth and everything, and so we're learning about new monsters that are out there. So for Anyone here, Matt? I think you said you saw like 2 or 3 episodes already, or something like that.
No, I'm waiting to watch all the episodes towards the
It's
end. But
probably Daniel. I think saw a couple of them.
I've only seen 3. I haven't seen the like with everything going on. Like I'm busy. I haven't seen the the other 2 yet. But it's interesting, man. I mean that's I don't know what freaking that beautiful that beautiful Japanese woman sees in that dude Randa, but I don't know, man. But it's like but yeah, I thought, like I said, I went into it just like like whatever. I had no expectations at all, no expectations, and then it's interesting. I mean, it's not like oh wow, it's like no,
Right.
but it's very very interesting. It's very intuitive and it makes sense and they piece together what happened to what's name but yeah, it's very to me it's very interesting.
Yeah, they kind of like, it's almost like every other episode, you kind of get introduced to a new kaiju they've come across. I was really interested in the one in Alaska that was using frost, which it also ate fire, which is really bizarre, but that was kind of a cool thing. Jake, have you seen the series?
Oh yeah, I've watched all 5. I'm enjoying it so far. I like how they're explaining what's happening in the past and what's going on in the present. I like that you're getting more detail on how Monarch became and like how Randa and them came together and all that. And some of the creatures were interesting, especially the one that y'all were just talking about. It reminded me of whatever mole has those little
Star knows more. The star knows more.
So I had it correct. So yeah, I thought it was a interesting kaiju. And the latest episode that I watched, it was very intriguing. I mean, they did figure out stuff, but you learn more about the girl. And I thought it was interesting looking back into her life. So I was like, oh, so they went that route. Interesting. I had no problem with it. I was just like, oh, that's interesting.
Yeah, some people, like, especially on The Nation, not everyone, but I know some people, like, flipping out about it being woke. I'm like, guys, if it was woke, they would be making this the target of the show. But there's a reason why this was revealed in a filler episode and not one of the real episodes.
Yeah, it's, you can do certain things, to try to be inclusive and all that without like making it the focal point, which is what's happening here. It's a no, there's nothing wrong with it. Like it doesn't affect the storyline or what's going on.
It's not relevant to the story at all. It's just we're going to give you some details to what happened with what Kate was like before G-Day happened. And I liked the little details when it was like G-Day -2, G-Day -1.
Yeah, I saw that.
That was like they really did that, didn't they?
They made a little reference there, yep. So what do you think so far, Daniel, about it all?
I at first, I mean, I did was kind of the characters, except Kurt Russell's character, even if they're going back, time stamping and time shifting, and say, okay, that's interesting. It's an interesting take. It's just that I think that the character of the 2 siblings that find out that they're siblings, half brother, half sister, and then the bickering is so freaking like, I'm like, man, dude, I'm like, wow. So I'm watching something that's very science fiction and Godzilla related, but now we got now we got the Brady Bunch. So I'm like freaking. So I'm like, okay, so it's like that's just what I mean. But it's I think it's interesting. It's just that, but what I really like though, they kept the source material connected to Japan, which was what I really really like. That they kept it. They kept Godzilla's connection to Japan, but as far as that, like it's okay. Even the girl that lives in Japan, the so-called girlfriend, the so-called girlfriend or whatever. I'm like, I'm not feeling her much, but It's just like, but that's just me though. But it's
How many episodes have you watched?
He's
just
watched
3.
3 so far, so he hasn't got to
I've
the
watched
later ones
5.
Same. Keep
yet.
watching, Daniel.
Yeah.
So I'm
Yeah,
like,
it's
I'm
fine.
like, okay, but so far that's just what I have, because like I said, I mean, I saw what happened in Alaska. Then I've been trying to look for it, because I didn't get Apple Plus. I'm streaming it from my broken in Fire Stick. So it's hard because it's a lot of buffering, because a lot of people are watching at the same time.
Right.
But yeah, it's still interesting regardless of the characters. We're all gonna have characters nobody's gonna freaking like. You're not gonna like everyone, but it's interesting. And the kaiju that Jake was talking about, it's cool. It's just, I mean, the one that really got me was the wing one. I mean, I was
The
already
Ion
thinking, man,
Dragon.
yeah, I was like, okay, what is that? Okay, that kind of looks familiar, but then I'm like, it's not the one I'm thinking about. It's because I don't think they're connected to
According to
the
Mr. H, it's Batra.
Yeah, there you go. But that's so much so far my take on just the 3 episodes. But Kurt Russell and the other, like I said, that beautiful Japanese woman that plays the grandmother. Wow, I was like, yeah, show me more of her. But that's aside from the part, man. And then having Randa there, I was like, man, that's like, oh my god, like, what are you doing with this guy? What are you doing with this guy? But yeah, but that's just me though. But it's still, like I said, I can't take it too seriously. But that's the thing. When I don't take something seriously, I end up liking it and enjoying it. So
Yeah. Yeah, I've
that's just
enjoyed
my
it
take.
so far. Again, though, it's kind of like we were talking about earlier. It's, this series is a little bit more serious take. It's back, around 2014 and whatnot, whereas
Yeah.
GXK, is kind of going in a more cheesy direction, even though it's connected to this universe. So
Yeah.
I don't know exactly where they're going to go with this series. I'm very interested in it. It's cool seeing some of these like kaiju that they're creating, and
But
unique.
you're like me, right? Like when I saw Godzilla 2014, like all the little like Easter eggs were a big deal to me. Like the stuff that they put in the credits and the post credits, I mean, even to the point where they were in the kids' school and it was like little like origami Rodins.
Mhm.
All that stuff is what I feel like we're starting to get in this Monarch series.
Yeah.
And that's what I'm really appreciating, because it sucks because it's very Pulp Fiction like, where it's all out of order and you're like, oh my god, what's gonna happen? But I'm really kind of digging it's like a mystery
Well,
almost.
yeah, in the last episode, they've discovered a map that sort of makes you wonder if that's related to all the locations of the Titans that we see in King of the Monsters. So I think they're working their way up to that particular movie.
Yeah, it seems to
But you're
really
right
try
though.
and tie
But you're
the
right.
knot.
But you're right, Neko and Anubis and Neko, you're right. I mean, like I said, I went into this not expecting anything, but as it kept going into the episodes, like, okay, I want more. Give me more.
Mhm.
I want to see more. I want to see what they connected, what they put, like when they did the Bikini Atoll thing. I was like,
Yeah.
oh yeah. I was like, yep.
Yeah.
I was like, yep, definitely.
Did you guys notice that Godzilla in that episode looked smaller and much slimmer than he did in 2014?
Probably. I mean, I don't pay too much attention to that stuff overall, just but it was still
that
cool.
makes sense, because that's kind of like what they're like saying. He gets his power from radiation, so it totally makes sense.
Yeah, so go back and take a picture of him. Find the picture that has him looking at that nuke before it went off in Casa Bravo. Then put that next to a picture of 2014 Godzilla, and you'll see like a significant difference.
But you also have to remember too that I think we know that there have been different Godzillas. Like I think earlier in 2014 they have like a carcass of an old Godzilla that was killed by
Dagon.
the
That's Dagon.
Yeah.
That's Dagon from from the prequel comic graphic novel. What is it?
Godzilla Aftershock. That takes place
Aftershock.
after 2014.
Yeah, so that's Daigon. That's Godzilla's ancestor, great ancestor, older than Godzilla.
So here's the thing. Sadly, figured this out because I found this on a post on The Nation. Legendary, I forget who runs this stuff, recently retconned the graphic novels.
Oh, okay. Well, there you go.
It was nice while it lasted, though.
Right. All right, well, guys, that's gonna do it for this evening. Let's kind of go around and see what anyone's. Matt, you got anything coming up? I think I've seen you play video games online. Do you usually do that?
Just recently, because I've had a lot of content to do. But I'm trying to get back into a couple of little unboxings here and there, and I'm gonna review Godzilla -1 after the stream, after I eat my dinner, and then I'm gonna do that. After that, just see where the wind takes me.
Awesome.
Final thoughts on Godzilla overall, not -1, but Godzilla.
Have you seen his back wall there? I mean, for fuck's sake!
I'm trying to be sarcastic.
I mean,
That's
you
just
are
one
asking
side.
like the most obvious of questions to everybody on this panel. I mean, come on now.
That's just one side of his wall. That's just one side of his
right.
wall. You should see the other side of his wall.
I was trying to be sarcastic.
Wait.
Oh God.
I appreciate that.
Hey, look at that guy.
Yeah, that's what.
Everybody's got their Godzillas out. Look,
John, you're supposed to send that to my house.
No, this is what you listen. This is what you gain to your house.
There you go.
Look at
This
him.
one's too big to bring down. I'm not doing it. I think we all, as Godzilla fans, are eating good. That's all I got.
I
to say
can
about
agree to that.
it.
Yep.
Yes.
Yeah, we
But,
got it good right now.
One last thing I'll say about Toho's Godzilla versus the legendary Godzilla. Toho's Godzilla is a nice piece of steak. It's cooked, gorgeous steakhouse.
Cooked rare.
It's perfectly done. All that stuff. The legendary Godzilla is more like a chicken dinner. It's a lot easier to make and a lot easier to, criticize, but it's like comparing steak to chicken, pretty much, so.
You can do anything with chicken.
Yes. So it's kind of like that. So they're both great to enjoy, but one, yes, is more high-end. Yes. The other one is, but both can be enjoyed. That's
like something I said earlier this week. I mentioned because people complain like back and forth, like -1 better than anything Legendary makes. I'm like, guys, -1 and Godzilla and Kong are in their own separate categories of movies.
Right.
Very true.
Walter, what do you got coming up?
We're going around. Okay, that way. Sorry.
Okay. I didn't know what was going to do. No, I'm kind of like with Matt. I got a few unboxings I'm going to do in the future. But other than that, not too much, and just my take on Godzilla altogether. We got to remember that once he was created, he was never going to go away. I mean, you think he's just going to be an afterthought, aftershock, whatever. You see his concussion is still making waves even coming up 70 years later, So, and I know for me as a Godzilla lover, that shit ain't dying no time soon. It's gonna be to my last breath, and I guess when I do take my last breath, I'm just gonna say, So.
I figured he'd go out as got a gear and yell Godzilla at the top of your lungs.
No, I think I'll blow my lungs out.
Well, it'll be a quick death.
John, what do you got coming up? You still doing your streaming your games?
Yes, though at the moment I've been busy because of college and everything. Finals is next week. Luckily, I only have one final. My finals done this week. So I'm going to try to edit Lethal Company and probably have that posted sometime next week. And then my thoughts over on Godzilla. I mean, I'm a Godzilla fan through and through. I'm going to watch Godzilla and Kong, enjoy the heck out of it as again, I have faith in, besides the trailer, because trailers don't do anything justice, I have faith in Wingard. I mean, Godzilla vs. Kong was certified fresh, so that's enough certification that lets him know, hey, this guy knows what he's doing on kaiju films. I'll just let him do his thing. I'll sit back, enjoy it, have a good laugh. And one final thing on -1, we got possibly what we wanted from Godzilla that we've been asking for in every movie made, is that Godzilla be more aggressive. I mean, we had Godzilla literally ripping buildings apart, literally using his tail and arms to his advantage, literally punching the battleship.
The train.
Oh yeah,
remember?
I swear he has a thing with trains, man. He has a thing with trains.
Oh, that was a total nod.
We
to
were
54.
high-fiving in the theater.
Every time I saw Godzilla's spines light up, I just looked at my friend. He looked back at me. When we saw him regenerate the first time and then the last time, we all looked at each other. And again, I loved how Yamazaki literally ended it on a dark note. Like, it's supposed to be a happy ending, but if you really know what's going on, it was very oblique and dark, and I enjoyed it.
Jake, I know you don't really stream, but what are you going to be doing these days coming up?
Well, besides working, mainly just relaxing. I got a few animes that I would like to watch. I just recently bought 2 films today.
Nice.
Cheesy films, but other than that,
Is the best?
really not much. I mean, may play on my PS5 on some days, but
that's always a good thing. Nothing wrong with that.
Oh yeah, considering I wake up at 4 a.m. every day.
Yeah, that's rough.
Same.
Sentry, you're about ready to fall asleep. What are you doing?
Oh no, what do you call it? No, man. Yeah, I'm gonna try to see if I can squeeze out a live stream. I don't know which one with Walter with Godzilla vs. Megalon, or thinking about doing a year-end 2023 live stream. Maybe have you guys on there, Kevin, Neko, Anubis, talk about G-Fest, because G-Fest was probably the best thing for, aside from Godzilla -1. Aside from Godzilla -1, I mean, aside from Godzilla -1 and that, but I mean, I got some of the other appointments, man, and I don't know if a stream. I'm gonna try, Walter. I'm gonna try to see if we can get it done this month, man. If not, well, I'll see. We'll see what's good for January. And but
like I said before, with your situation, I mean, go for the bigger picture. You know, go for the New Year's, end of the year thing, because I feel like that will really say, hey, hone in all what we done and
calling the homies.
Yeah, calling the homies. You know,
yeah, like I saw
the homies. You know, so
I mean, that's what I mean. Like I can get you guys on. Get Kevin, you guys, whoever can join. I can only have 6 people, but I'll think about it. I'll see what we can do. That way we could just catch up. You guys can talk about your best of 2023 also, so we all just make it one big stream. But that's what I'm thinking, because I mean, fucking 2023 was a freaking up and down year. But but besides that, man, I still got the gaming, but I'm slowing down on the gaming too, because my fingers just cramp up so bad. I don't know why. But besides that, man, and last thoughts on Godzilla -1 and Godzilla X Kong, man. I'm all in for Godzilla X Kong. I'll still watch it, just like you guys were saying it, like John was saying it. I'll still watch it. I'll still enjoy it. If I don't like it, whatever. Put cheese and jalapenos all over that. But -1, yeah, but -1, modern day beautiful masterpiece written in scarlet, man. That's all I gotta say, man. I won't say much on that. It's you guys have already said how great and how beautiful that movie is. So that's where I'll leave it, man.
Yeah. So thank you all for. Go ahead.
I was just gonna say, I think that -1 shows us that there is still beauty in destruction. Like,
yes,
before creation comes destruction.
Exactly.
Beautiful, beautiful destruction.
So, all of us as kaiju fans can appreciate this fantastic movie. And DJ Anubis?
Matt?
Okay. Maybe I've watched too many Heisei films, but did anybody else notice the Super X Easter egg in Godzilla -1, or is it just me?
Maybe. I did notice a Rage Again Easter egg when he was putting the picture of of the girl in the section right before when he was taken off of the plane.
Yeah, but the plane that he used, it was painted that certain type of green, like the Super X was. I know that's
okay.
Oh,
and also when it's flying, the way how the music it was playing, it sounded like the theme that the music that from Godzilla the Super X was flying through the air. And also,
that's interesting because I
playing
think
music
John or
like
somebody mentioned that about how at one point they were playing the music
yeah,
to
the
Godzilla and
the
Kong.
King Kong versus Godzilla one when they were getting the plan and acted against Godzilla in the sea. And I will say this, I doubt it'll win at the Oscars for special effects, but if Godzilla -1 ends up winning special effects of the year, this will be a serious blow to Hollywood because this film was $15 million to make, whereas all the other great special effects films in Hollywood is like over $100 million. So if this wins, this would be a serious blow.
That's like a whole other topic.
I just want
I'll say this though. I know Walter brought it up a few days back about how he wants Godzilla -1 to make get the Oscars. I know they submitted the movie to the Oscars, which is good. I'll say this, like it'll probably win special effects or at least be in that category, but it really deserves to be the best picture of the year, and that's because of the story. The story is a real thing.
Great character development.
I recently had seen Everything All at Once not too long ago. That was the first time I got to see it. It's okay, but if that movie, which is great that it won those awards, but if that movie won awards for the way it is, like I think it's actually kind of overrated. -1 is 10 times the movie that is. And so it'll be a shame that
I don't disagree with that.
I'm just gonna say I think -1's way better. Both written and the storyline is just way better. And so if that movie can win awards for what it is, then I think that -1 should be able to do that too. I just don't think they're gonna take it seriously enough because of Godzilla to be in that category.
But that's the problem right there. They looking at that as the issues and saying that, okay, we have a genre that shouldn't be highlighted because it has that genre. But it's like you're missing the whole point. You shouldn't be looking at that. You should be looking at the story. You should be looking at what's going on with these characters. That's the thing that should be motivating you,
Yeah, the character development is by far one of the best we've seen from any Hollywood movie in the past decade. I mean, especially the love interest between Noriko and Koichi. I mean, it wasn't forced. It was like Koichi didn't want to, but deep down he had feelings, and Noriko wanted to be married to him.
I just don't have any faith in American filmmaking right now, or American cinema in general, that they'll even give Godzilla that, because they got smoked by another production that was based more through Chinese actors who deserved awards since way before that. You really think the Oscars will do that for Godzilla? You really think they'll take another blow and like actually lose to another foreign movie a film that was created just this year? I don't give a fuck if anybody who's watching this says what they're thinking about it. I don't care. I don't have faith in the system of Oscars and American cinema anymore. Like I just don't.
Especially with the new rules that it has to meet a diversity quota now.
You can't really apply that to fucking that movie.
Sci-fi said it best. I mean, I'm like that. I don't really have the faith. Cause look, I've lost all credit. I just lost all faith in Hollywood. I mean, I knew there's a few drops there once in a while, but Hollywood has really let me know that y'all have just forgotten what it was to make movies. Because see, the opening shot of -1, I'm gonna tell you something right now. Just that opening shot of -1, I don't know why, but that just cemented my faith in cinema that it's still there. There's still something glorious to be projected there. But it seemed like Hollywood, it's like, wake the fuck up, man. I mean, stop doing this bullshit, trying to say, put all this money into something, but you don't have a fucking story to back it up. You know, see, me personally, I get really rage mode when I see this, and it's like, here's something, a pure gem right here, -1, and then you got this garbage right here, and it's like, you guys see the bigger picture here? See the bigger picture, man.
One thing I was very impressed with is how they did Godzilla as a dinosaur. I really loved how they did that.
Yeah.
That's a good approach, yeah. All right, everybody. Thank you all for joining me this evening. For those that are watching, please hit the like button, subscribe if you enjoyed the channel. To my panel guests, thank you very much for being here. It's been great, great discussions, and thank you very much. And I will be glad to do this again sometime. So hang around.
Subscribe to him.
Try to anyway. It's hard to figure out where to point. Yeah,
it's hard to angle it. It's so wonky.
All right, hang on, guys, and I'll let you go after the outro here. So
cool, bro.